Hey, how's it going, everybody? Sarasota Tim. How do I look? I probably look like hell because I'm not going to mix words with you this morning, okay? I'm going to give you the cons of owning an RV. I don't know if it actually applies to a mobile home that's, grounded and held down. Somebody emailing something. But I'm going to tell you what it's like to be in a camper on a Dexter axles, okay? Now, I'm a grown-ass man. And I'm not the bravest person in the world, but I ain't afraid. Last night, I was terrified. Last night, after my last video, no big deal. This wasn't even a hurricane. This was a tropical storm. The feeder bands that we're bringing on the outside of the circulation of this Mother Nature, this most powerful thing in the world, tornadoes, hurricanes, tropical storms, earthquakes, tsunamis, these are things that you don't play with. These are things that you hear, oh, well, you never experienced one. You live in a part of the country, you don't know what it's like. You've been through some and you were on the clean side. There's a dirty side. I was on the dirty side of this storm. You weren't in a camper. And so you didn't get the full brunt of what it really feels like. So I'm going to do my best to explain to you what I went through last night in the Crasher. Do I love the Crasher still? Absolutely. Am I going to live in it for the foreseeable future? Do I have anything against buying RVs? None. But I'm going to tell you what the cons are that I will absolutely do next time. All right. So after I made that video last night, I was sitting in my beautiful theater chair right there, glued to the TV, watching this news and information about the storm as it just skirted past within 100 miles of me here, which is nothing. Nothing. Let that thing get anywhere near 300 or 400 miles of you. You're going to feel some stuff. I mean, feeder bands were hitting West Palm Beach. I mean, these things, if you look at it from satellite, these are monsters. These are freak of nature. And that one was a baby. I've been through some hurricanes. And I've always said, unless you're in the eye or in the feeder bands or on the dirty side and in a camper, you can't imagine. When they hit land too, they peter out. They tear up. As soon as it hits land, it starts to deteriorate. That's why when they go over Cuba and hit those 10,000 foot mountains, they can be messed up too if they come around that way. But this one escaped and went to the north side of Cuba, stayed in the water, came around, snuck in the back door, went the long way around the barn, and it came into the Gulf of Mexico, and it rode right up the freeway there, right outside offshore, unobstructed by land, and just getting stronger and stronger, and feeding that soupy water, 80, 90 degree water, more like 85 to 90 degree water, and it didn't get any weaker, and it got a little stronger. But it had, some of them are different. Some of them are bigger. Some of them are smaller. Some of them have more power. And some of them have more water. Water's horrible. Water flooding and this thing dumps some water. So let's get to it. Let's get to the experience I had after my last video. I'm sitting in that chair. And you ever been in your car and someone was washing it and they took the water hose with the jet nozzle and they hit the windshield with it, and you're behind the window and you hear it and you see this water and it happens like that? That's the way it happened last night. The rain didn't just it's starting to rain. It just, boom, like 50 people were out there with garden hoses with jet nozzles. And they all squoze at the same time and hit this camper. That's what it was like. So I'm trying to look out the window. I've got my front docking light on. I can see in the light the sheets blowing sideways and back and forth of the rain hit hard like that because it was coming with 40, 50 mile an hour winds. And the storms are windy themselves, and then the rain in it, it just blew when it came, it was just like on. And then when it would quit, it would be like off. You know, I mean, that's no other way to explain it. But when it would come on, each and every time, it would fool me. I would think, this is it. It's all over. There's a tornado out there. I'm getting ready to be blown up. I grabbed the most 2 or 3 important things that I think that I need, like my car keys, my wallet, and I had them on me. And it's raining right now. You can hear the air conditioning, but it's also raining. I'll come in here. I just had the most important things on me. And I literally, I'm not going to lie, would jump up and I would say, please God, please God, please God, just like that, out loud, every single time, because I thought every single time this was it. And so after like 3 or 4 of those, of feeling the camper shudder and this rain come, and then it would quit. This was early. We haven't gotten into it yet. I decided this is not safe. This is not good. Let me go outside in between these. The rain wasn't coming. Let me back up. This was more of a wind event where I jumped up and said, please God, please God. There was no rain yet. It was just all these bursts of wind gusts were hitting the camper. No rain. That part I described earlier did come later, and it's doing it right now. But unlike last night. So I went outside and I said, here's what I'll do. I'm going to wait for this next wind burst because it was coming about every few minutes. I'm going to see what it's like. What does the camper do? Let me look at the camper. Let me watch it shake or whatever, because it felt violent. And I stood out there for a good 10 minutes, which seemed like forever. And the winds were coming intermittently. I'm screaming over this rain hitting the roof. It's like being in a tin box in a tin roof. There's no insulation. I know you can hear rain in Walmarts. You can hear it at your house when it's hitting, but you got to scream over this. So I go out there and I'm waiting for this next wind burst so I can see if it's going to push it over or what's happening. And I'm out there, I'm like, what? It's not going to do it again? It wouldn't do it, or I didn't see it. And I'm looking at the camper, and I put my hand on the camper, and when I put my hand on the camper and I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, this thing isn't going anywhere. This thing is a big machine, and it weighs 2,000 more pounds than that Tundra. This thing is like 7,000 pounds. And it's not going to blow over. It's going to take a lot more than what I'm seeing out here. And it's not a hurricane. So I said, it's just an anomaly. It's just how it feels because it's on Dexter axles with Goodyear Endurance tires with just these little stabilizer jacks down. It's not a foundation. It's not a house. And it's meant to roll. So, you can go out there even when it's down, the jacks are down and all that, and I can push on it. Heck, when Tammy's in here and I'm sitting in the chair or vice versa and someone walks in here, you're sitting in the chair, you're like, hey, walk softer. Dang, you're shaking the whole camper. So I said, that's all it is. You can relax. Go to bed. It's not, the air conditioning finally turned off. It's not going to blow over. You're fine. So I came back inside and I kept watching the news, and it was getting closer, and the weather was deteriorating, and now the rain is coming like we got right now. And it's that hard blowing rain against it. So now I went from the thing moving from the wind to wind moving it and rain pelting it. And that made it like double that it could roll over. Now I'm back to worrying again that it's going to roll over, or, I'm going to die or something like that. So now a couple more hours go by and we're approaching midnight, and I'm so tired I can't keep my eyes open. So I go get in that bed, and this is where the real terrifying part of the night started. You hear it? I get in the bed, and the slide out is the headboard, and there's 2 windows on both sides of my head. In the back of the coach, the wind is coming from that way, and the rain. Because now what happened is, on the news they were saying that the eye has moved further to the north over Tampa and a little bit past Tampa. The wind and the rain, instead of coming from the south, Naples, straight up, is now coming straight over from the water inland. The winds have changed. And so, instead of it hitting in the side, it's now hitting the back of the coach. And that's where I'm sleeping back there, trying to. And like out of nowhere, not something that increases, warm you up to a little bit. I'm talking just boom. And again, please God, please God, please God. I say it out loud. I literally felt I had to pray for my life. I lost count of how many times that I would go back in there. I would first get my phone. I'm half dead asleep. I'm looking at the radar because they're just showing the whole story on TV. I'm looking at the radar on my weather app, and I'm zooming into like my area to see, when the next, because it's all red. It's all red and yellow and orange and, no green. It's all red. Bad rain. And they're moving very fast. So I'm thinking, all right, and I'm putting it in motion with my finger. I'm sliding the radar back and forth, and I'm trying to seriously be like a meteorologist and see when the next feeder band. Do I have a break? Can I lay down? Can I get some rest? I can't stay up all night. I'm terrified. And I said, you know what? The next time it stops and there's a little break, grab those 2 or 3 things that you're holding on tight to, that are your most important things in your life, and go get in that damn Tundra. And just, you're not going to be able to sleep in it because the seats aren't going to go back enough, but just get in there, and stop being terrified. And I didn't. So I laid down again. There was I saw a silver lining. I saw there was going to be a break. And there was, but it was short-lived. Here it goes again. Boom! Please, God, please, God, please. I'm telling you, folks. I come out of the bed. I get out of that back bedroom. I'm thinking that it's going to rip the slide out, or... You got to remember, it's a lot worse, sounded a lot worse than it probably actually was. Because I've already discovered that earlier on in my story when I'm talking about sitting here and that wind was hitting, and I went outside and I'm thinking, all these other guys are fine, and the wind isn't. I see it coming, and I see the trees blowing, and it's windy. But I put my hand on the camper, and it was like, this thing is big and heavy. This isn't going to go anywhere. It's just the way it seems like inside there. All right, so back to the story. I go back to bed again. Several intervals of being rocked out of bed without going into the story. Happened again and again and again. Please God, please God, please God, again and again and again. Then about 2 or whatever in the morning, when that thing is finally in its slowest, it's slower than molasses in the wintertime, is moving further away, that feeder band that's outside of the center of circulation is ever so slowly changing from red and yellows and oranges to green, and I'm not getting those feeder bands. Just, man, they just wouldn't move. They just kept coming in. They just kept training in. And I was able to get, I'd like to think, an hour or two. And then, boom, I was rocked out of bed again early this morning. And went back and laid down again. I was so tired. And again, so you get the point? It was over and over and over of being terrified, rocked out of bed, praying to God to save me, holding on to the 2 or 3 things that are the most important thing. It was nothing. I wouldn't have had anything if this thing would have been destroyed. Because all my whole life's in here. So, I get up this morning, and a lot of you are checking on me, and a lot of you in the comments, thank you very much. Jay over in the Villages, and Tammy, and my sister at the hotel, you can come here, and people are on Facebook, and all these are all reaching out to me. You know, hope you're okay, praying for you. I read them all. Believe me, I had nothing else to do but sit here and look at my phone. And thank you, all of you, community. Thank you so much. Your prayers did work. So, here's the cons. They're not insulated. They're insulated. They hold the air conditioning good and stuff, and the heat. But the sound, because they're a thin thing, it's not a brick and mortar. It's not rebar and steel. It's not insulation. It's not a house. It's not an apartment. So you can hear everything. These slides around these edges, there's just a big rubber flap gasket that seals water out. But you can hear things outside, vehicles, people talking. You know, it's not, you can hear. I mean, I hear cars all the time. I think somebody's pulling up in my driveway. And it's just people going by or parking over there. So sound is accentuated. Accentuated. You can hear it a lot more. And movement, while it would chatter a little bit, it wasn't like, don't get me wrong, it wasn't like a thing really shook. It was this chattering of this very little movement and it was violent for that second that you thought, oh my God, it's a tornado, I'm out. And that's enough after experiencing this that I will never endure that again. I will simply, and I had sustained winds for days, multiple days, the whole time I was cross country in the crasher here in the desert, and there were sustained winds. And one time I was talking to Johnny Vegas, and I told him on the phone, I go, hey, I'm kind of scared here. I was at the orchards, and it was shaking it because the wind was strong. There's no obstruction in the desert, or they would come off those mountains or whatever. But it was nothing like, because I didn't see any water. There was no rain out there. I mean, this is the first rain I've seen in a long time. Still raining out there. So, it was different. But if it ever happens again, and I'm going to be somewhere, I'll simply go get a room, or I'll go get my truck, or I'll tow this away if it's going to be that dangerous, because I don't want to lose my property. I knew the trailer would be safe, and maybe I should have just got a room or something. I could have went and bedded down on the floor or the couch or something in my sister's room, but it was not very close, and if the weather was bad to drive, and I just thought, I'll get through it. But man, I wouldn't want to get through that again. I wasted my whole, I didn't get any sleep, and all that. Hang on, I got a call. All right, so let me finish the video by just saying the cons are, they're definitely not a safe thing to be in, and it goes without saying, right? Who doesn't know that? Definitely not safe in very, very high wind or hurricanes, tropical storms. Don't sleep in one. It's worse feeling than it really is, but you'll be terrified. And there is a lot of noise that you can hear when it does rain or when people are driving by and stuff. You can hear things, especially I think because it has slides, and that leaves like basically the two holes with just a rubber flap on there. But I haven't experienced any critters or bugs or ants or water leaks or anything like that. It's just, and I wouldn't have it without it, really. I love the slides. So anyway, that's it, folks. I'm fine. I'm safe. It's raining again. It's not going away. My sister's going to be in town again tonight because there's nowhere to go. It's still up there in Tampa and northern Florida, and it's going to where she lives, and it's going to sit there for days. But she can't afford to stay in a hotel for days, so eventually she's going to, work her way back to where she currently lives. The whole idea of looking for a place is a squash, but I think it was fortuitous that she came. She had a little vacation. She got a room, and we got to visit. We're going to visit again today, and she's not going to be up there where the Carolinas are going to be basically, in a deluge, because that's what they're going to have. But anyway, I'm fine. Thanks for everybody for thinking of me. We'll get out and try to make some more videos today as we get around here in this remnants of Tropical Storm Debby. Thank you so much for subscribers. The numbers have gone through the roof. We got 150,000 beautiful souls watching the channel. And thank you for checking your subscription. A lot of you did comment and tell me and email and in the comments that you were, in fact, unsubscribed and you resubscribed. Thank you so much for checking that. And consider using the links in the description of my videos. I'm a little bad about putting them in every video because I put so many videos out every day. So if you have to go back a few, you'll see it. And it's also on the very front of my YouTube channel. And if you feel like fooling with that and supporting the channel, go ahead and do that too. I really appreciate it. But most of all, just enjoy the videos, give it a thumbs up, share them with your friends, and thank you so much. And remember, yesterday's gone. Tomorrow might not ever get here. That's what I thought last night. Today is the day to crush it.